Hey, what's up guys? So I decided to make a video today. The reason I decided to make this video is because I see this question come up a lot. The question is, what languages should I learn first? So for a beginner programmer, normally you don't know where to start, where to begin. And if you're not going to traditional school, then you may not have any idea what they teach. Now in a computer science course or program, you're going to learn a lot of basic fundamentals, a lot of computer science stuff that truly you may not use in the real world. So if you want to start today as a web developer and start developing web pages, you can do it and it shouldn't be too difficult to do. So what should you learn? Well, I think some of the things that you should learn at a foundational level is, well, you probably want to create web pages, and that's the first thing. And even if you want to create mobile applications, there's ways to create mobile applications with HTML technology. So that's a good way to start. So the first thing you want to learn is HTML. And that is just basically to display information on a web page. But in order to make that look somewhat nice and pretty and all of that, you will need to know another thing called CSS, which is cascading style sheets. That is basically the colors and the style that it uses, and setting the fonts, and maybe the way it looks and feels and everything. And that's separate from the HTML itself. HTML is just the actual data that you present, but CSS is how you style it. So you need CSS and HTML. And the third thing is JavaScript. You can't really go anywhere on the web without using JavaScript. So you need to know JavaScript. So what would I do if I was just starting out right now? What would I tell myself where to begin? So the first thing that I would want to do is get a good grasp of HTML, creating some web pages, simple web page, maybe a home page, a profile page or something like that. And then learn the basics of CSS so that way you can create your page. And then third, I would learn how to program in JavaScript. Now, JavaScript is going to take you a little bit longer because it's an actual programming language. HTML is a language, but it's a markup language. So it just marks up the code so that it'll display on the web page, and the browser knows how to render that. But the browser understands three things. And from those three things, it understands HTML, it understands CSS, it understands JavaScript. Now, if you want to actually create a full application, then you would actually need something else called a backend language. But with JavaScript is actually a backend language as well, because you have Node.js. So if you learn JavaScript pretty well, then you can go ahead and learn Node, and those would be the three core things that you need to know. So in HTML, it's really simple to learn. I think you could learn it probably in a couple of days. I mean, just the basics, not getting real fancy or anything, but just the basics. You can learn HTML really quick. And then CSS, it's really simple as well. And then JavaScript. Keep your eye out on this channel because I plan to do a video on those three things. Just the basic, get you started, get your feet wet on that sort of thing. So just stay posted. So why do you want to learn HTML? Well, just about every application today is written for the web. Really, there's not many applications that are being written for the desktop. There are quite a few. Of course, there's some things that you're never going to get away from using on the desktop. Well, I can't say never, because the web is getting really powerful, and some things may come to the web eventually. But a lot of creator things like Photoshop and Illustrator and all those kind of artistic type things that require a lot of processing power and don't really need the web for anything. In essence, they don't really need the web. So those things will probably stay on the desktop. But for line of business applications, which is what every business is really gearing their application towards, their interfaces, their end user interfaces are really on the web. And there's a lot of reasons for that. For one, on the web, when you have something on the web, you don't have to install it on that machine. You go on the web, you can access it, you have authentication, you can centralize your code, and you deploy it in one place, and everybody gets updated. Whereas if you do something for the desktop, then you have to download the application, and there's different configurations, and there may be different kinds of issues. So as you can see the trend that everything is moving towards the web. So that's why it's important to learn those three things. And I think that's what's most common for everyone. And the other thing about it is that JavaScript is one of those things that you can actually practice a lot of algorithms. Now, JavaScript can be hard to learn if you already know one of the other languages, but also JavaScript makes things a lot easier in terms of writing some of the algorithms. There's websites where you can practice a lot of JavaScript. Now, learning JavaScript is one thing. Learning how to write software from it is a whole totally different thing. So I still recommend that even when you learn the language, that you actually go out and practice, and maybe go onto some of these like Code Fights and Code Wars websites where you can actually practice a lot of what you've learned, because there will come a time where you actually have to implement some of these things and how to write algorithms. But for the most part, for most line of business applications, all you're really doing is gathering input, maybe making a call to the back end to get some data, and maybe pushing some data and things of that nature. So with that said, just stay posted. I plan to make some videos on these topics, and that way you can learn from those videos, those tutorials, and just stay posted. Thanks for watching.